The coffee spilled in slow motion, arcing through the air like a caffeinated waterfall, headed straight for the most expensive suit I'd ever seen. I watched in horror as my clumsy elbow, the same elbow that had knocked over approximately 7,000 things in my 25 years, sent my venti latte on a collision course with a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a Mafia movie. Dark hair swept back from a face carved from marble, jaw that could cut glass, eyes the color of storm clouds over the Mediterranean, and a suit that probably cost more than my entire year's rent. The coffee hit him square in the chest. Oh God. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I grabbed napkins with shaking hands, my messenger bag still swinging from where it had caused the catastrophe. I didn't see you. I was rushing. I'm always rushing. I'm the worst. Stop. His voice was accented, deep as thunder, and somehow amused despite being drenched in scalding liquid, before you make it worse. I froze, napkin poised midair like some kind of deranged attack bird. His lips were curved in what might have been a smile if it didn't look so predatory. I was going to dab, I said stupidly, staring at the brown stain spreading across pristine white fabric. You were going to grope a stranger in the middle of Starbucks. One dark eyebrow arched. I appreciate the enthusiasm, but perhaps we should exchange names first. Heat flooded my face. I didn't mean, I was just trying to help. Help by assaulting me with coffee and then attempting to undress me? His eyes gleamed with something between irritation and amusement. You have interesting methods, miss. Aria Winters. I wanted to melt into the floor. And I wasn't trying to undress you. Pity. He plucked the napkin from my frozen fingers. Nico Papadopoulos, and you owe me a new shirt. I'll pay for the dry cleaning, I offered immediately, mentally calculating how many ramen dinners that would cost me. Dry cleaning won't save this. He gestured to the ruined shirt with something like resignation. But perhaps you could make it up to me another way. My eyes narrowed suspiciously. If you're about to proposition me, dinner. He cut me off smoothly. You clearly need supervision while handling beverages. I'll make sure you don't drown anyone in soup. I should have said no. Should have apologized profusely. Offered my meager savings for his shirt, and fled back to my tiny apartment where I belonged. But something in those storm gray eyes held me captive. A challenge, a dare, a promise of something dangerous and thrilling. One dinner, I heard myself say, to apologize for ruining your shirt. And my morning, he added, but his smile had warmed. And possibly my faith in humanity. You're really milking this. I'm Greek. We invented tragedy. He pulled out his phone. Your number. I'll send you the details. 20 minutes later, I was still standing in Starbucks, staring at the text that had just arrived. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Dionysus. Wear something that won't result in food-based assault. N. My roommate Maya found me that evening staring at my closet with mounting panic. Let me get this straight, she said, perched on my bed with a bowl of popcorn. You assaulted a hot Greek guy with coffee and now you're going on a date with him? It wasn't assault, it was an accident. I held up a black dress, rejected it, and tossed it on the growing pile. And I'm pretty sure this is just him messing with me. Probably won't even show up. Oh, he'll show up. Maya studied her phone. Aria, look at this. She thrust the screen at me. I squinted at what appeared to be a Forbes article. There, looking criminally handsome in a publicity photo, was my coffee victim. Nikolaos Papadopoulos, 34, leads the most successful import-export empire on the East Coast. Sources close to the notoriously private businessman suggest his connections extend far beyond legitimate trade. He's rich, Maya breathed, like stupidly rich, and possibly connected to the Greek mob. My stomach dropped. The what now? There are rumors, nothing proven, but... She scrolled through several more articles. He represents some questionable clients, has ties to families that definitely aren't just importing olive oil, and there was that thing with the rival businessman who mysteriously withdrew his lawsuit. I can't go. I sat down hard on the bed. I absolutely cannot go on a date with a maybe mobster. You absolutely can. Maya's eyes gleamed with vicarious excitement. When will you get another chance like this? You spend every day teaching kindergartners their ABCs, and every night eating microwave dinners alone. Live a little. Living a little usually doesn't involve organized crime. Alleged organized crime, she corrected. Besides, it's just dinner. Public place. What's the worst that could happen? Famous last words. Dionysus turned out to be the kind of restaurant where they don't list prices on the menu, which meant I definitely couldn't afford anything on it. I stood outside in my simple black dress and thrift store heels, seriously considering running. Planning your escape? Nico's voice came from behind me, amused and knowing. I spun around to find him looking unfairly gorgeous in a navy suit. No coffee stains in sight. Just admiring the architecture, I lied. Liar. He offered his arm like we were in a period drama. Come. I promise the food won't attack you. Can't make the same promise about me, I muttered, but took his arm anyway. The interior was stunning, all white marble and soft lighting, with subtle Greek motifs that managed to be elegant rather than tacky. The host greeted Nico by name, leading us to a private corner table. You come here often? I asked, then winced. Sorry, that sounded like a bad pickup line. I own it. He said it casually, like owning restaurants was normal. So, yes, occasionally. Of course he did. Let me guess, I said as we sat down. You also own a yacht, a villa in Greece, and possibly a small island? 2 islands, actually. But who's counting? His smile was pure mischief. Does my wealth intimidate you, Arya? Yes, I admitted honestly. I'm a kindergarten teacher. My idea of splurging is getting the name brand pasta. We're from different worlds. Perhaps. He poured wine from an unlabeled bottle. Or perhaps money is just money, and what matters is whether we enjoy each other's company. Is that a line you use often? Never had to. Most women I meet already know who I am. He studied me over his glass. You, however, assaulted me with coffee, and then looked ready to bolt when you saw this place. It's refreshing. Glad my poverty is entertaining, I said dryly. Your authenticity is refreshing, he corrected, something shifting in his expression. I spend most of my time with people who want something from me. You just wanted to apologize for ruining my shirt. And I do apologize, sincerely. Apology accepted. He raised his glass, to accidental encounters and the interesting places they lead. I clinked my glass against his, not knowing how prophetic those words would be. Dinner was incredible. Course after course of food I couldn't pronounce but devoured anyway. We talked about everything. My students and their hilarious observations about the world, his childhood in Greece before moving to America, our mutual love of old movies and terrible puns. You're not what I expected, I admitted over dessert. What did you expect? Someone more intimidating, I guess. You're supposed to be this ruthless businessman, but you just spent 10 minutes laughing at my story about a 5-year-old who insisted glue was a food group. Something flickered in his eyes. Perhaps I'm both. Ruthless in business, human in everything else. And which one am I getting right now? Whichever one you prefer. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to something more intimate. Though I should warn you, Arya, once you're in my life, I'm very reluctant to let you go. The possessiveness should have alarmed me. Instead, it sent a thrill down my spine. We barely know each other, I pointed out. I know enough. I know you bite your lower lip when you're nervous. I know you make terrible jokes when you're uncomfortable. I know you have the kindest eyes I've ever seen." His hand covered mine on the table. "And I know I want to see you again. This feels fast." Fast is relative. His thumb traced circles on my palm. "I'm Greek. We invented passion along with tragedy. When we want something, we pursue it completely. And you want me?" I barely recognized my breathy voice. "From the moment you doused me in coffee." His smile was devastating. "Say yes to another date, Aria. Let me show you my world." I should have hesitated. Should have considered the implications. Should have remembered Maya's warnings about mob connections. Instead, I said, "Yes." His smile turned triumphant. "Good, because I've already decided you're mine." "Excuse me? You heard me?" He stood, extending his hand. "Come, let me take you home." "I can get a cab." "No cab." His tone brooked no argument. "My driver will take you. I'll walk you to your door." "That's not necessary." "Aria." He pulled me to my feet, close enough that I could smell his cologne, cedar and something spicy. "I take care of what's mine. Get used to it." The ride to my shabby apartment building was quiet. Nico's hand holding mine in the back of his sleek town car. When we pulled up to the curb, I saw him take in the peeling paint and broken security door without comment. He walked me inside, ignoring the flickering hallway light and the smell of someone's overcooked dinner. "This is me," I said at my door, suddenly embarrassed by the contrast between his world and mine. "It's perfect." He cupped my face, and I realized he was going to kiss me. "Because it's yours." The kiss was gentle at first, testing. Then his hand slid into my hair, angling my head for deeper access, and gentle became consuming. I melted against him, my fingers fisting in his suit jacket, drowning in sensation. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "Tomorrow," he said, not a question. "I'll pick you up at 7. I didn't agree to tomorrow. "You will." His smile was pure confidence. "Because you feel it too. This pull between us, this inevitability." He was gone before I could argue, leaving me dizzy and wanting in my doorway. Inside, Maya pounced immediately. "Tell me everything." But I barely heard her. My phone had buzzed with a text. "Sleep well. Agape mu. Dream of me." In. And God help me, I knew I would. 3 weeks. That's how long it took for my ordinary life to become completely unrecognizable. Nico pursued me with single-minded intensity. Flowers delivered to my classroom daily, causing my students to giggle and my principal to raise concerned eyebrows. Dinners at restaurants where celebrities dined, weekend trips to his beach house in the Hamptons, and always, always, that possessive certainty that I was already his. "You're seeing him again?" My brother Cole cornered me as I got ready for yet another date. He'd let himself into the apartment, typical older brother move, and now stood in my doorway looking disapproving. "Yes, and before you start, I'm 25. I can date who I want." "You're dating Nikolaos Papadopoulos." Cole's lawyer voice was in full effect. "Do you have any idea what he's connected to?" "He's a businessman. He's Takorakia." Cole cut me off. "The Ravens. Greek organized crime area. I've been digging, and everything points to him being a major player." My hand stilled on my necklace clasp. "You've been investigating my boyfriend? Someone needs to protect you from yourself." He crossed his arms. "Aria, this guy is dangerous. His import-export business is likely a front for money laundering. His associates have criminal records. And there are rumors, unconfirmed but persistent, about people who crossed him ending up in very unfortunate situations. Rumors aren't facts." But my voice wavered. "No, but patterns are. And the pattern here is clear. Nico Papadopoulos is not just some wealthy businessman. He's connected to criminal enterprise, and you're in over your head. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. I'm downstairs, wearing the blue dress I sent you. N. I looked at the garment bag hanging on my closet door, a designer dress that had arrived that morning with a note. For tonight, you'll look like a goddess. Nen. That dress probably costs more than your car, Cole observed. You see how he's operating? Expensive gifts, whirlwind romance, isolating you from your normal life. He's not isolating me, you're being paranoid. Am I? When's the last time you had dinner with Maya? Or met me for coffee? Or did anything that didn't involve him? I opened my mouth to argue and realized he was right. Every free moment had been consumed by Nico. I'd canceled plans with friends, skipped family dinners, restructured my entire life around his schedule. I have to go, I said quietly. He's waiting. Arya. I'll be careful. Cole. I promise. But I wasn't sure anymore what careful even meant. Nico was waiting beside a different car tonight, a vintage Porsche that gleamed under the streetlights. He looked devastating in a black suit, but his smile faltered when he saw my expression. What's wrong? He pulled me into his arms immediately. You look upset. My brother was here. He's worried about us. Worried how? I pulled back to look at him. He says you're connected to the Greek mob, to Korakia. Is he right? Nico's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Get in the car, Arya. We need to talk. We drove in silence to a private marina, where Nico's yacht was docked. Not a boat, a full-sized yacht that probably cost more than my entire neighborhood. He led me to the main cabin, poured 2 glasses of wine, and sat across from me with the gravity of someone preparing for surgery. Your brother is correct, he said simply. I am connected to Takarakia, more than connected. I'm what you'd call an Arhuntiki, a lieutenant, 2nd generation following my father's path. The confirmation hit me like cold water. So everything Cole said. Some truth, some speculation. He took a drink. My import business is legitimate. But yes, I also facilitate other operations for the organization. Movement of goods and money that doesn't go through traditional channels. Dispute resolution that doesn't involve courts. Protection services for people who need discretion. Illegal activities, I translated. Activities that exist in gray areas, he corrected. Arya, I won't lie to you. I've done things that would horrify the woman who teaches children their ABCs. But I've also protected people, helped immigrants who couldn't get help legally, provided justice when the system failed. That's not the same as being noble. I'm not claiming nobility. His voice hardened. I'm claiming necessity. My father brought me into this world at 18. I've built my position through intelligence and strategy, not violence. But yes, when necessary, I can be ruthless. I stood, needing distance from the intensity of his gaze. Why didn't you tell me from the beginning? Because I wanted you to know me before you knew what I was. He stood as well, closing the distance between us. Arya, I saw you in that Starbucks, clumsy and apologetic and real, and something in me shifted. I've spent my whole life with people who want something from me. Power, money, access. You just wanted to make things right. That's rare in my world. Your world that you're now dragging me into. Only if you want to come. His hand settled on my shoulders, warm and steady. I can walk away right now. Let you go back to your safe, normal life. Never contact you again. Is that what you want? No. The word was fierce. I want you, Arya. I want to wake up to you every morning. I want you in my home, in my bed, in my life. I want to give you everything, protection, luxury, devotion. But I understand if knowing the truth changes how you feel. I should have walked away. Every logical part of my brain screamed at me to run from this beautiful, dangerous man and his criminal empire. But my heart, my stupid, reckless heart, was already too far gone. I need time, I said finally, to think about this, to process. How much time? I don't know, a few days? A week? His jaw tightened, but he nodded. 1 week. Then I need your answer, Arya. Because if you're mine completely. And if you're not. He didn't finish, but I heard the pain beneath his control. He drove me home in silence. At my door, he pulled me into a kiss that felt like claiming and goodbye all at once. 1 week, he murmured against my lips. Think carefully, Agapimo. Because once you choose me, I won't let you go. The week that followed was torture. I threw myself into teaching, trying to find normalcy in finger painting and story time. But everywhere I looked, I saw reminders of Nico. The flowers still arrived daily, each bouquet with a simple card. Thinking of you. And my phone buzzed with texts that ranged from sweet to seductive. The bed feels empty without you. I saw a child today who reminded me of what ours might look like. Missing you is a physical ache. Cole called daily, urging me to end it. Maya researched everything she could find about Takarakia, presenting me with evidence of violence and criminal activity. My principal gently suggested I was distracted lately and might benefit from talking to someone. Everyone thought I should run, but on the 6th night, curled up alone in my bed, I realized something fundamental. I was already in love with him. Not with the wealth or the gifts or even the excitement. With the man who listened intently when I talked about my students. Who remembered that I hated mushrooms and loved old jazz. Who looked at me like I was the most precious thing in his world. Yes, he was dangerous. Yes, his world was violent and complicated. But he'd been honest with me when he didn't have to be. And the way he looked at me, like I was his North Star in a dark sea, that was real. I picked up my phone and typed, "I choose you." His response was immediate. "I'm outside." I threw on a robe and rushed downstairs to find him leaning against his car, looking like he'd been there for hours. "You've been waiting all week?" I asked breathlessly. "Every night." He pulled me into his arms. "Hoping you'd choose me." "I'm terrified," I admitted against his chest. "Your world scares me, but losing you scares me more. You won't lose me." His arms tightened around me. "And I'll protect you from everything in my world. You'll be safe, Arya. I swear it on my life." "What happens now?" "Now?" He tilted my face up to his. "Now you pack a bag and come home with me. No more separate apartments, separate lives. You're mine, and I want you where you belong." "That's very presumptuous." "It's very Greek," he corrected with a smile. "We don't do halfway, Agapimo, especially not with the women we love." My breath caught. "You love me?" "Desperately. Completely. Probably more than is healthy." He kissed me thoroughly. "Now go pack. We're wasting time we could be spending in my bed." 20 minutes later, I was throwing clothes into a suitcase while Maya watched with mixed emotions. "You're really doing this?" she asked. "I really am." "And you're okay with the whole mob thing?" "I'm okay with being with someone who makes me feel alive for the first time in my life." I zipped the bag. "Even if he's complicated." "Complicated is an understatement." But she hugged me tight. "Just promise you'll be careful, and call me if anything feels wrong." I promised, not knowing how soon wrong would find me. Nico's penthouse was even more stunning than I'd imagined. All modern luxury with Greek touches that made it feel like home rather than a showroom. He carried my bag to the master bedroom, where floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city glittering below. "This is your room now," he said, setting the bag down. "Everything in it is yours." "Our room," I corrected, and watched his expression soften. "Our room," he agreed, pulling me close. "Our bed, our life." That night, as he made love to me with devastating thoroughness, I felt the last of my doubts dissolve. This was right, dangerous and complicated and completely insane, but right. I was his, and he was mine. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. I just didn't know how soon that would be tested. Living with Nico was like existing in a beautiful dream that occasionally flirted with nightmare. By day, I continued teaching, though now a driver picked me up every morning in a car that made my principal's eyebrows climb toward her hairline. By night, I inhabited Nico's world of expensive dinners and carefully coded conversations with men whose eyes were too cold, too knowing. "You're adjusting well," Nico commented one evening as we prepared for yet another business dinner. He fastened a diamond necklace around my throat, a necklace he'd gifted me with the casual comment that it matched my eyes. "I'm faking it well," I corrected, studying myself in the mirror. The woman looking back seemed like a stranger in her designer dress and jewelry that cost more than my yearly salary. "There's a difference. Give it time." His lips found that sensitive spot below my ear. "Soon this will feel natural." But I wasn't sure I wanted it to feel natural. Wasn't sure I wanted to become comfortable with the subtle violence that lurked beneath every polite conversation, the way men deferred to Nico with fear masquerading as respect. The dinner was at an upscale Italian restaurant owned by another family in Tacaracchia. I'd learned that everything in Nico's world was owned by someone, connected to someone, part of an intricate web of obligations and territories. "Nico?" A large man with graying hair embraced him warmly. "And this must be the famous Arya we've heard so much about. Arya, this is Dimitri Kostas, an old friend of my father's. Pleased to meet you." I offered my hand, which Dimitri kissed with old-world courtesy. Beautiful and polite. "You've done well, Nico." Dimitri's smile didn't quite reach his eyes, though I wonder if such a delicate flower is prepared for our world. "Arya is stronger than she looks," Nico replied, his hand settling possessively at my lower back. We sat at a private table, and the dinner proceeded with the usual careful dance. Business discussed in coded language, alliances tested through seemingly casual conversation, power measured in the space between words. I was picking at my dessert when a new voice cut through the room. "Nikolaos Papadopoulos, how unexpected." I looked up to see a man who made every instinct scream danger. Mid-40s, expensive suit, eyes like chips of ice. And beside him, a woman who could have been a model, all sharp beauty and calculating assessment. Nico's entire body tensed. "Stavros, I didn't know you'd be here tonight." Clearly. Stavros's smile was all teeth. "Mind if we join you? It seems we have much to discuss." Before Nico could refuse, Stavros and his companion sat down, invading our space with aggressive casualness. "You must be Arya," the woman said, her accent placing her somewhere in Eastern Europe. "I'm Katerina, Stavros's associate." "Associate," Stavros repeated with dark amusement. Such a useful word, don't you think, Nico? Covers so many arrangements. "What do you want, Stavros?" Nico's voice was carefully controlled, but I felt the tension radiating from him. "Just to meet your new pet." Stavros's eyes raked over me with insulting thoroughness. Interesting choice. A school teacher. How wonderfully. Domestic. Careful. Nico's voice dropped to something dangerous. "Remember where you are." "Oh, I remember perfectly. Dimitri's restaurant, neutral ground, which means we can speak freely." Stavros leaned back, utterly relaxed. "Tell me, Arya, does Nico tell you bedtime stories about his work? Or does he keep you ignorant of exactly how he earns the money that buys your pretty dresses?" "I know enough," I said, lifting my chin despite my racing heart. Do you? Do you know about the shipment that went missing last month? The one Nico was supposed to secure? Nico's hand found my thigh under the table, squeezing in warning. Business matters. Nothing to concern Arya. Except it does concern her. Stavros's smile widened. Because someone informed the authorities about that shipment. Someone with inside knowledge. And now certain people in Takorakia are wondering if our Nico is as loyal as he claims. The accusation hung in the air like poison. You're suggesting I'm an informant? Nico's voice was deadly quiet. I'm suggesting someone is. And you've been acting strange lately, distracted, bringing an outsider into your home, your bed, your confidences. Stavros's gaze slid back to me. Makes a man wonder what you might be sharing during pillow talk. You're out of line. Dmitri finally intervened, his voice hard. This is my establishment, Stavros. You will show respect or leave. Respect. Stavros stood slowly. Of course. My apologies, Dmitri. Nico. Arya. His smile never reached his eyes. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other again very soon. He left with Katerina gliding beside him, leaving destruction in their wake. The ride home was silent, Nico's jaw tight with barely controlled rage. Once inside the penthouse, he poured himself a drink and downed it in one swallow. Talk to me, I said quietly. What was that really about? A power play. He poured another drink. Stavros wants my position. He's been looking for any excuse to undermine me, and now he's trying to use you. By suggesting I'm what? Spying on you? I laughed bitterly. I barely understand half of what you do. That won't matter to him, or to others who might believe his insinuations. Nico turned to face me, his expression grave. Arya, I need you to understand something. In my world, perception is often more important than truth. If enough people believe you're a liability, then what? Fear crept into my voice. What happens to me? He crossed to me, pulling me into his arms. Nothing, because I won't let it. But we need to be smart now. Careful. How do we prove I'm not some spy? By making our commitment impossible to question. He pulled back, his hands framing my face. Marry me. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Marry me. Become my wife. Officially part of my family. It eliminates any question of your loyalty. Nico, we've been together 3 months. Time is irrelevant. In my world, marriages happen quickly when they serve a purpose. His thumbs traced my cheekbones. And this serves multiple purposes. It protects you, strengthens my position, and gives me what I want. You, permanently mine. That's not a proposal. That's a business transaction. It's both. No apology in his voice. I love you, Arya. I want to marry you because my life is better with you in it. But I also need to marry you to keep you safe. Can you accept that? I pulled away, my mind reeling. This is insane. I need time to think. We don't have time. His voice turned urgent. Stavros is moving against me. Every day we wait is another day he can build his case that you're a risk, that I'm compromised. Please, Agapimu. Trust me on this. Trust you to strong-arm me into marriage. Trust me to protect you any way I can. He grabbed my hands. I know how this looks. I know I'm asking too much, too fast. But I'm asking anyway, because losing you is not an option. I looked into his eyes and saw desperation mixed with determination. This wasn't just about politics or power. He genuinely believed marriage was the only way to keep me safe. And maybe he was right. Okay, I whispered. I'll marry you. His relief was palpable. Tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow? Nico, that's necessary. He kissed me hard. I'll arrange everything. All you need to do is show up and say yes. That night, I lay awake long after Nico fell asleep, staring at the ceiling and wondering how my life had spiraled so completely out of control. 3 months ago, I'd been a kindergarten teacher with a quiet life. Now I was about to marry into the Greek mob to avoid being killed as a suspected spy. Maya was going to lose her mind. The ceremony the next day was surreal, held at a courthouse with only a handful of witnesses, all carefully chosen members of Takorakia. I wore a simple cream dress that Nico had somehow produced overnight, and I held a bouquet of white roses that smelled like endings and beginnings. "You look beautiful," Nico murmured as we stood before the judge. "I look terrified," I corrected. "That too." His smile was gentle. "But you're here. That's what matters." The vows were brief, impersonal. But when Nico slipped the ring on my finger, a stunning diamond surrounded by sapphires, and said, "I do," with absolute conviction, I felt something shift between us. This was real, insane, and rushed, and completely backwards, but real. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." Nico kissed me like he was sealing a pact, claiming me in front of witnesses who would report back to the entire organization. I was Aria Papadopoulos now, and there was no going back. The reception was at Dimitri's restaurant, the same place where Stavros had made his accusations. Nico explained this was intentional, showing strength by not hiding, confidence by celebrating publicly. Plus, he added with dark humor, if Stavros tries anything tonight, Dimitri will have him removed, literally. I didn't ask what literally meant. The guests were a who's who of Greek organized crime. Men with dangerous eyes and beautiful women who assessed me with varying degrees of curiosity and disdain. I smiled until my face hurt and made small talk about nothing, all while feeling like I was being evaluated for weaknesses. "Congratulations." Katerina appeared at my elbow, a glass of champagne in hand. Though I have to say this was all very sudden. "Love doesn't follow a schedule," I replied with false brightness. "Love," she said it like it was a foreign concept. "How romantic. Though I wonder if Nico told you the real reason for this hasty marriage. To make me family, to protect me, to use you." Her smile was sharp. "See, Stavros isn't wrong about the informant. Someone has been feeding information to authorities, and now with you firmly in place as Nico's devoted wife, he has the perfect cover. After all, who would suspect the sweet schoolteacher is actually—" "Katerina." Nico's voice cut through her words like a blade. "I believe your employer is looking for you." She smiled, unruffled. "Of course. Congratulations again, Aria. I hope married life agrees with you." After she left, I turned to Nico. "What was she suggesting?" "That you're the informant, using me to gather information." His jaw was tight. "It's a lie, Aria. Stavros is trying to turn the narrative, make you look guilty to destabilize me." "But someone is informing," I said slowly. "Someone with inside knowledge." "Yes, and I intend to find out who." His hand found mine. "But it's not you, and I'll make sure everyone knows it." The rest of the evening passed in a blur of toasts and carefully veiled threats disguised as congratulations. By the time we returned to the penthouse, I was exhausted. "Come here," Nico said, pulling me into his arms. "You survived your first Takorakia event as my wife. That deserves celebration." "Or therapy," I muttered against his chest. He laughed, and the sound was so genuine, so removed from the careful control he'd maintained all evening, that I relaxed despite everything. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "for all of this, for dragging you into my world, for rushing you into marriage, for the danger. But you'd do it all again," I said, knowing it was true. "Yes." No hesitation. Because you're mine, and I protect what's mine at any cost. Even my freedom? He pulled back to look at me. Your freedom to leave? Yes. Your freedom to be yourself, to teach, to have opinions and dreams? Never. I want your heart, Arya, not your cage. It was the most honest thing he'd ever said to me. Then let me in completely, I said. No more secrets, no more protecting me from the truth. If I'm your wife, if I'm in this, then I need to really be in it. He studied me for a long moment. You're sure? No, but tell me anyway. So he did. And by the end of that night, curled in his arms as dawn broke over the city, I knew exactly what I'd married into. And I was terrified. But I was also, against all reason, exactly where I wanted to be. Being Mrs. Papadopoulos came with perks I hadn't anticipated. A driver who doubled as security. Access to accounts with more zeros than I could process. Invitations to events where celebrities and politicians mingled with people whose wealth came from decidedly less public sources. It also came with surveillance I definitely hadn't anticipated. There's a man following me, I told Nico 2 weeks into our marriage. We were having breakfast on the terrace, the morning sun warming the space. He didn't look up from his newspaper. I know. His name is Andreas. He's there for your protection. I don't need protection at the grocery store. You're the wife of an Arantiki. Yes, you do. He finally looked at me, his expression gentle but firm. Arya, I know this feels restrictive, but Stavros's accusations are still circulating. People are watching, waiting to see if you really are what you claim to be. Your loving wife? I said dryly. My loyal wife. He reached across the table for my hand. There's a difference in our world. I was learning that lesson daily. Loyalty in Takorakia wasn't about affection. It was about blood and obligation, and never ever betraying family interests. I got a strange call yesterday, I said, changing the subject. From someone claiming to be from the FBI. Nico's grip on my hand tightened. What did they say? That they wanted to talk to me about your business dealings, that they could offer protection if I cooperated. I watched his face carefully. I hung up, but it frightened you. He released my hand and stood, pacing to the window. This is Stavros's doing, trying to turn you, or at minimum, make it look like you're being approached. What if I wanted to talk to them? I asked quietly. He spun around, something dangerous flashing in his eyes. What? I said, what if? Hypothetically. What would happen if your wife decided to actually cooperate with authorities? The silence stretched between us like a chasm. I would do everything in my power to stop you, he finally said, his voice carefully controlled, including things you wouldn't forgive me for. You'd hurt me? The question came out smaller than I intended. No. Never. He crossed back to me, kneeling beside my chair. But I'd lock you in this penthouse if I had to. Send you somewhere remote where you couldn't do damage. Whatever was necessary to protect you from yourself, and protect my family from exposure. Your family, not our family. They're the same now. His hands found my face. Arya, please tell me you're not considering this. Please tell me you're just testing me. I saw real fear in his eyes. Not for himself, but for us. For what would happen if I chose the law over him. I'm not considering it, I said honestly. But I needed to know where you'd draw the line. Needed to know if there's anything I could do that would make you stop loving me. Betray me to the authorities and I'd still love you. His voice was raw. But I'd hate myself for what I'd have to do about it. The honesty was terrifying and somehow comforting. At least he wasn't pretending this was a fairy tale. My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered out of habit. Mrs. Papadopoulos. The voice was smooth, American, official. Special Agent Morrison, FBI. We really do need to talk. I met Nico's eyes as I responded. I have nothing to say to you. Not even about the missing shipment? The one your husband was supposed to secure? We have evidence suggesting... I hung up. They'll try again, Nico said grimly. This is how they operate. Persistent pressure, implied threats, promises of protection. What do they actually have on you? Nothing concrete. That's why they're trying to flip someone inside. He stood, pulling me to my feet. Come with me. There's something you need to see. He led me to his home office, a room I'd been told was off limits. The walls were lined with monitors showing various security feeds. His desk held multiple laptops, all password protected. This is my real work, he said, logging into one of the computers. The part I've kept from you. What followed was a crash course in modern organized crime. He showed me encrypted communications with other families, financial records of legitimate businesses that generated clean money, carefully documented favors owed and collected, the complex web of obligations that held Takarakia together. We're not Scarface, he said wryly. We're accountants with muscle. Most of what we do is boring, moving money, facilitating deals, providing services people can't get through legal channels. And the violence? Happens, but less than you'd think. Violence draws attention. We prefer economic pressure, social influence, occasionally blackmail. He pulled up another file. This is what I'm really working on. A complete legitimate transformation of my operations. 5-year plan to phase out anything questionable, transition to fully legal businesses. I stared at the detailed plans. You're going straight? I'm trying to. For you. For our future children. He turned to face me. But it takes time. And during that time, I'm vulnerable. Which is why Stavros is striking now. He knows I'm weakening my traditional power base. So when you say we need to prove my loyalty, I mean, we need to buy time. Get through this transition without being destroyed by rivals or arrested by authorities. His hand settled on my shoulders. And yes, having you as my wife helps. Shows stability, commitment, roots in the legitimate world. I'm a prop. You're my partner. He pulled me close. An unwitting partner initially, I'll admit. But now you know everything. So I'm asking, will you help me? Will you stand with me while I try to build something better? I should have felt manipulated, should have resented being used as part of his strategy. But I looked at this man who'd laid bare his life, his plans, his vulnerabilities, and I couldn't muster anger. Only a strange, fierce protectiveness. I'm in, I said, all the way in. But no more secrets between us. No more protecting me from the ugly parts. Deal. He kissed me thoroughly. Though I reserve the right to protect you from bullets. Reasonable exception, I agreed. That night, attending yet another Takarakia function, I played my role with new understanding. I was Arya Papadopoulos, loyal wife, symbol of Nico's commitment to legitimacy. And I played it perfectly. Just enough warmth to seem genuine, just enough reserve to seem respectable. Until Stavros cornered me by the bar. Enjoying your new role? He asked, his breath reeking of expensive whiskey. Playing the devoted wife? I'm not playing anything, I replied coolly. Unlike some people here. His eyes narrowed. Careful, little girl. You're in over your head. I'm exactly where I belong. With my husband. Your husband is a dead man walking. He just doesn't know it yet. Stavros leaned closer. When the truth comes out about who's been informing, Nico will fall. And you'll fall with him. Unless what? I help you? I laughed, the sound sharp. You really think I'd betray Nico for you? I think you'll do whatever keeps you alive. His hand gripped my arm painfully. And when this all comes crashing down, you'll wish you'd been smarter. Get your hand off my wife. Nico appeared like a storm, his voice deadly quiet. Stavros released me immediately, but his smile remained. Just having a friendly conversation. Your definition of friendly needs work. Nico positioned himself between us, protective and threatening. Touch her again, and we'll have a very different kind of conversation. Such passion. Almost makes me believe you really love her. Stavros's gaze slid to me. Or maybe you're just that good at pretending. Both of you. He walked away, leaving the threat hanging in the air. What did he say to you? Nico demanded, checking my arm where Stavros had grabbed me. That you're a dead man walking. That the truth about the informant will destroy you. I met his eyes. Nico, what if he's right? What if whoever's informing has enough to really hurt you? Then we find them first. His jaw set with determination. And we make an example that ensures no one ever tries again. The cold promise in his voice reminded me exactly who I'd married. But it also reminded me that this man would burn the world down to protect what was his. And I was his. For better or worse, I was entirely, completely his. The question was, what would that cost me in the end? The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I was at the foundation office I'd started running, Nico's way of giving me purpose beyond being his wife, when my phone rang with a number I'd learned to recognize, Special Agent Morrison. I'd been ignoring his calls for weeks, but something made me answer this time. Mrs. Papadopoulos, thank you for finally taking my call. I'm hanging up in 30 seconds, I warned. Then I'll be quick. We have your husband on surveillance meeting with Dimitri Kostas last night. The same Dimitri who's under investigation for arms trafficking. Morrison's voice was matter-of-fact. We also have financial records showing money moving through your foundation to offshore accounts. You're either complicit or being used. My blood went cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Then let me explain. Your foundation's operating account received $3 million last month from a shell corporation. That money was then transferred to accounts in Cyprus and the Caymans. Classic money laundering, Mrs. Papadopoulos. And your signature is on the authorization forms. That's impossible. I never... Check your email. I'm sending you copies. Morrison paused. You have 48 hours to contact us if you want to cooperate. After that, we're moving forward with charges. And you'll be named as a co-defendant. He hung up. I stared at my computer screen as the email arrived, my hands shaking as I opened the attachments. There they were. Authorization forms for wire transfers, each one bearing what looked exactly like my signature. Forms I'd never seen before. Transfers I'd never approved. Someone was framing me. I called Nico immediately. We need to talk. Now. He must have heard the panic in my voice because he simply said, I'm sending the car. 20 minutes later, I was in his downtown office, showing him the documents while trying not to hyperventilate. These aren't real, I said. I never signed these. Never authorized any transfers beyond the normal operational expenses we discussed. I know. His voice was tight as he examined the forms. These are forgeries. Very good forgeries, but fake nonetheless. How can you tell? Because I know your signature. The tilt on your R's is different, and the spacing between letters is too uniform. Whoever created these studied your handwriting but couldn't perfectly replicate your unconscious patterns. He looked up, his expression grim. This is sophisticated work. Stavros? Possibly. Or someone else who wants us both destroyed. He picked up his phone. I'm calling our forensic accountant. We'll prove these are fraudulent, trace where the money really went. Nico, the FBI gave me 48 hours. My voice shook. What if we can't prove it in time? What if they arrest me? He set down the phone and pulled me into his arms. They won't. I promise you, Agapi Mu. I won't let that happen. You can't control the FBI. No, but I can control information, and I can protect you. His hand stroked my hair. Trust me. I wanted to. But I was learning that trust in Nico's world was a luxury I couldn't afford. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay beside Nico, listening to his even breathing, and made a decision that terrified me. I had to talk to Morrison, not to betray Nico, but to buy time, to understand exactly what evidence they had. At 3 a.m., I slipped out of bed and into Nico's office. I found Morrison's card in my purse and dialed from Nico's secure line, praying it wasn't tapped. Mrs. Papadopoulos. Morrison sounded wide awake. I was hoping you'd call. I'm not cooperating. I just want to understand what you think you have. Fair enough. We have 18 months of financial records showing your foundation as a pass-through for laundered money. We have surveillance of your husband meeting with known criminals. And we have testimony from someone inside Takarakia willing to confirm the organization's activities. My heart stopped. Who? I can't reveal that. But this person has given us detailed information about Nico's operations, including the fact that he brought you in specifically to help legitimize his money. That's a lie. Is it? Think about it, Mrs. Papadopoulos. He pursued you aggressively, married you quickly, set you up with a foundation that handles significant cash flow. Classic criminal pattern. Use a civilian to create distance from dirty money. You don't know him. I know what the evidence shows. And right now, it shows you're either an accessory or a pawn. Morrison's voice softened slightly. Help us, and we can protect you. Testify about what you know, and you'll walk away with immunity. And Nico? Goes to prison where he belongs. I hung up, my hands shaking. Behind me, the office door opened. Nico stood there in the half-light, his expression unreadable. How much did you hear? I asked. Enough. He moved into the room, not approaching, just standing there like a judge waiting for my defense. Were you considering his offer? I was trying to understand what we're up against. By calling the FBI from my phone, his voice was dangerously quiet. Arya, do you have any idea how that looks? Like I'm trying to save both our asses. I stood, anger replacing fear. Someone is framing me, Nico, and you're asking me to blindly trust that you'll fix it when, for all I know, you're the one who set me up. The words hung between us like poison. You think I did this? His voice was barely above a whisper. You think I framed my own wife? I don't know what to think anymore. Tears blurred my vision. I don't know who to trust. Morrison says you used me. Stavros says you're going down. And you keep telling me to just trust you. But you won't tell me what you're really doing to fix this. Because I'm trying to protect you from knowing too much. He crossed to me, his hands gentle on my shoulders, despite the tension in his body. Arya, what I'm planning to do to solve this problem, you don't want that knowledge. It's dark and ugly, and it's not something a kindergarten teacher should carry. I'm not just a kindergarten teacher anymore. I'm your wife, your partner. You said so yourself. Yes, and as my partner, I need you to trust me. His forehead touched mine. Please, Agapimo. I know I'm asking a lot, but I need you to believe that I would never, ever hurt you. That everything I've done has been to keep you safe. I wanted to believe him, wanted to surrender to the certainty in his voice. But doubt had taken root, and I couldn't shake it. Prove it, I said. Prove you didn't set me up. His hands dropped from my shoulders. How? Show me everything. Every account, every transaction, every piece of evidence. Let me see for myself that you're not using me. He was silent for a long moment. Then he moved to his computer, typing in passwords and pulling up files. This is everything, he said quietly. My entire operation, laid bare. Look at whatever you want. But Arya, once you see this, you can't unsee it. You'll know things that make you complicit just by knowing them. I sat down at his computer and began to read. Hours passed as I traced money flows, read encrypted communications, understood the full scope of his business, and slowly, methodically, I confirmed what he'd said. I wasn't part of his money laundering. The foundation was clean. The forged documents were exactly that. Forgeries designed to implicate me. "It's Stavros," I said finally, my voice hoarse from disuse. "These accounts the money went to, they're connected to his operations, aren't they?" "Yes, he's framing both of us, making it look like I'm using you to launder money, while he's actually doing the laundering and setting us up to take the fall." Nico had been silent throughout my investigation, just sitting nearby, watching me work. "I'm sorry I doubted you. Don't be. You were smart to verify." He pulled me into his lap, holding me close. "But now you know the truth. Someone in Takarakia is trying to destroy me through you, and we need to stop them before Morrison builds enough of a case to move forward." "How?" "By finding the informant, the person feeding Morrison information. Because once we know who that is, we can prove Stavros is behind everything." "And then what?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. "Then justice. Takarakia justice." The cold promise in his voice made me shiver, but I didn't pull away, because I'd seen the evidence, understood the trap being laid, and knew that in his world there was only one way to survive, by being more ruthless than your enemies. "Tell me what you need me to do," I said quietly. His arms tightened around me. "Just keep being yourself. Keep running the foundation. Keep playing the devoted wife. And trust that I'm working on this." "What are you gonna do?" Something I should have done months ago. His expression was grim. "I'm going to hunt." 3 days later, Nico came home with blood on his knuckles and satisfaction in his eyes. "I found the informant," he announced, pouring himself a drink. "Dimitri's nephew, young, stupid, and in debt to Stavros." "Did you—" I couldn't finish the question. "Kill him?" "No, though he might wish I had." Nico's voice was matter-of-fact. "He's currently explaining to the Takarakia Council exactly how Stavros has been using him to feed information to the FBI while simultaneously stealing from the organization. And the evidence against us will be proven fraudulent. I have the nephew's testimony, forensic analysis of the forged signatures, and proof that Stavros created the shell companies used in the money laundering." He smiled, cold and satisfied. "By tomorrow, this will all be over." "Just like that?" "Just like that." He crossed to me, pulling me into his arms. "Morrison will be forced to drop his investigation. Stavros will face Takarakia justice, and you and I can finally focus on our future instead of just surviving our present." I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt the weight of what I'd become. A woman who could discuss murder and fraud over dinner, who accepted violence as a normal part of life. "I've changed," I said quietly, "since meeting you. I'm not the same person who spilled coffee on you in Starbucks." "No," he agreed. "You're stronger now, wiser, more capable of surviving in our world." "Is that a good thing?" He was silent for a moment. "I don't know. But it's necessary. And I'm selfish enough to be glad you're still here, regardless of what it cost you to stay." That night, as we lay in bed, I felt the first flutter of movement in my abdomen. I'd suspected for a week but hadn't been ready to confirm it. "Nico," I whispered, "I think I'm pregnant." He went very still. Then his hand moved to my stomach, pressing gently. "You're sure?" "I'll take a test tomorrow, but yes, I'm sure." When I finally looked at his face, I saw something I'd never seen before. Pure, uncomplicated joy. "A baby," he breathed. "Our baby." "Are you happy?" I asked, though his expression made the answer obvious. "Happier than I have any right to be." His hand splayed protectively across my stomach, This changes everything, Arya. Everything. He was right, though neither of us knew just how much. Because across town, in a building I'd never been to, Stavros was making plans of his own, and our baby would be born into a war we'd only just begun to fight. The pregnancy test sat on the bathroom counter like a small bomb, 2 pink lines confirming what I already knew. I was growing a life inside me, Nico's child, a tiny person who would be born into a world of violence and beautiful lies. "We need to accelerate the timeline," Nico said when I showed him. He was pacing the bedroom, already in strategic mode. "Get you somewhere safer, increase security, prepare for—" "Nico." I caught his hand, forcing him to stop. "Breathe. We have months to prepare. Months where you're vulnerable, where our child is vulnerable." His free hand touched my still flat stomach with reverent care. "Stavros knows about the baby by now. His people watch everything we do." "So what are you suggesting? That I hide for 9 months? If necessary, yes." I pulled away, anger flaring. "I'm not disappearing from my life because you're paranoid. I'm realistic." His voice rose, then he visibly controlled himself. "Arya, you don't understand what people in my world will do when they're desperate. Stavros is facing expulsion from Takarakia. He has nothing to lose, which makes him infinitely more dangerous." Before I could respond, his phone rang. His expression darkened as he answered in rapid Greek, his voice going from controlled to furious in seconds. He hung up and immediately started pulling on clothes. "I have to go. Emergency council meeting." "What happened?" "Dimitri's nephew is dead, killed in his cell before he could testify." Nico's voice was flat with rage. "Stavros got to him." My blood went cold. "But that means—" "It means we have no evidence, no witness. Nothing to prove Stavros framed us or stole from the organization." He grabbed his jacket. "Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone. Andreas is outside." "Nico, wait." But he was already gone, leaving me alone with my fears and a child I wasn't sure how to protect. Hours passed. I tried to distract myself with foundation work, but I couldn't concentrate. Every sound made me jump. Every shadow felt threatening. When the doorbell rang at midnight, I nearly screamed. "Mrs. Papadopoulos?" An unfamiliar voice called through the door. "I'm Dr. Stephanopoulos. Mr. Papadopoulos sent me to check on you and the baby." I looked through the peephole at a middle-aged man in a suit, medical bag in hand. Behind him, Andreas stood at attention. "Andreas?" I called. "Is this legitimate?" "Yes, ma'am," Mr. Papadopoulos called ahead. I opened the door, still cautious. The doctor entered with professional efficiency, setting up his equipment on the dining room table. "Just a routine checkup," he explained. "Given the stress you've been under, we want to make sure everything is progressing normally." He took my blood pressure, listened to my heart, asked standard pregnancy questions. I was starting to relax when I felt the pinch of a needle in my arm. "What?" The room tilted sideways. "I'm sorry," the doctor said, though his voice sounded distant. "Stavros sends his regards." Everything went black. I woke to the smell of salt water and engine oil. My head pounded, and when I tried to move, I realized my hands were zip-tied behind my back. Panic surged through me. "Easy." Katerina's voice came from somewhere to my left. "You're on a boat, middle of the Atlantic if you were wondering. No one can hear you scream, so don't bother." My eyes adjusted to the dim cabin. Katerina sat across from me, gun resting casually in her lap. Behind her, 2 large men played cards, ignoring us completely. "Why?" My voice came out raspy. "Because Stavros needs leverage against your husband. And what better leverage than his pregnant wife?" She smiled without warmth. "Don't worry. We're not going to hurt you. Not unless Nico forces our hand. He'll kill you for this." He'll try. But first, he'll have to choose between you and his entire operation. She leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. We've sent Nico proof of life. He has 48 hours to transfer control of his territories to Stavros and leave New York permanently. If he complies, you and the baby go free. If he doesn't. She shrugged. Well, you're smart enough to understand. You're insane. The Takarakia Council won't stand for this. The council is in chaos. Half of them think Nico framed Stavros. The other half don't care as long as their interests aren't affected. Her eyes glittered. By the time they sort it out, this will be over. Hours passed. Or maybe days. I couldn't tell in the windowless cabin. They fed me occasionally, untied my hands for bathroom breaks, but always under guard. Katerina made small talk as though we were friends, asking about my teaching career and morning sickness with disturbing casualness. Do you love him? She asked during one of these surreal conversations. Nico, I mean, or did you just get swept up in the money and power? I love him, I said simply, even though I probably shouldn't. Honest answer. She looked almost impressed. Most women in your position would lie, try to manipulate sympathy, but you're just honest. It's refreshing. If you're trying to make me like you, it won't work. Good. I'd hate to think you were stupid. She checked her phone. Your husband hasn't responded to our demands yet. That's either very brave or very stupid of him. Fear clawed at my throat. What happens if he doesn't respond in time? Then we move to phase 2, which you really don't want to know about. But she was wrong. I needed to know, needed to understand exactly how bad this could get. Tell me anyway. Katerina studied me, then shrugged. We sell you. There are people who would pay excellent money for Nico Papadopoulos' pregnant wife. Some for revenge, some for leverage, some for other purposes. The casual way she described human trafficking made bile rise in my throat. You're a monster, I whispered. I'm practical. In our world, everything has a price, even you. She stood, stretching. Get some rest. One way or another, this ends tomorrow. I didn't sleep. Instead, I planned. The zip ties were tight but not impossible. The guards changed shifts every 4 hours, and Katerina, for all her casual cruelty, checked her phone compulsively, waiting for instructions from Stavros. When she finally fell asleep in her chair around 4 a.m., I made my move. The zip ties had rubbed my wrists raw, but I'd been working them loose for hours. I slipped one hand free, then the other, moving slowly to avoid waking the dozing guards. Katerina's gun sat on the table beside her, too far to reach without alerting her. But her phone was closer. I grabbed it in one swift movement and bolted for the cabin door. Shouts erupted behind me, but I was already running up the stairs to the deck. The night air hit me like a slap, cold and disorienting. I had no idea where we were, just water in every direction. Behind me, heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs. I did the only thing I could think of. I dialed the last number in Katerina's call log and threw the phone overboard. If it was Stavros, fine. But if it was Nico, hands grabbed me from behind. I screamed and fought, but they were too strong. They dragged me back inside, throwing me onto the cabin floor. Katerina stood over me, fury twisting her features. Stupid, she hissed. You just made everything worse. But before she could say more, the satellite phone on the wall rang. She answered it, her expression shifting from anger to shock to fear in the space of seconds. Yes, sir. Understood. Right away. She hung up slowly, her face pale. Change of plans. What? Your husband is here. Apparently, he tracked my phone's GPS before you threw it overboard. She smiled grimly. We're surrounded by his people, and Stavros just ordered us to use you as a human shield. The next hours were chaos. Nico's voice over bullhorns demanding my release. Stavros's men preparing for assault. Katerina pacing with her gun, looking increasingly desperate. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she muttered. "We were supposed to have time." The first explosion shattered the night. I felt the boat rock violently, heard screaming from above deck. Katerina grabbed me, pressing the gun to my temple. "Tell them to back off," she screamed into the phone. "Tell them or I kill her." But Nico's response was cold. "You kill her, and I'll make sure you die slowly, very slowly. Let her go now, and you walk away." "You're lying. I'm offering you a choice. Take it." Katerina's hand shook against my head. Then slowly, she lowered the gun. "Fine, but I want guarantees." The cabin door exploded inward. Nico stood there like an avenging god, gun raised, several armed men behind him. His eyes found mine, and relief flashed across his face before it hardened again. "Let her go," he commanded Katerina. "Now." She released me, hands raised in surrender. I stumbled toward Nico, who caught me with one arm while keeping his gun trained on Katerina with the other. "Get her out of here," he ordered one of his men. "Dmitri, you know what to do." "Nico, please," Katerina started. "You kidnapped my pregnant wife." His voice was ice. "Threatened my unborn child. Did you really think there would be mercy?" The last thing I saw before being hustled out was Katerina's face as understanding dawned. She'd made a fatal error. And in Nico's world, there were no second chances. The next day, I woke in a hospital bed with Nico asleep in the chair beside me, his hand wrapped around mine. My other hand rested protectively on my stomach. "The baby's fine," a nurse assured me when I stirred. "Perfectly healthy despite your ordeal. You're both going to be just fine." Nico woke at the sound of her voice. His eyes, bloodshot from lack of sleep, fixed on me with desperate intensity. "Arya, thank God." He stood, kissing my forehead, my cheeks, my lips. "I thought I'd lost you. When Stavros's man brought proof you'd been taken." "How did you find me?" "I put trackers on everything you own. Your phone, your jewelry, even your clothes." He didn't look apologetic. "When the GPS showed you moving toward the marina, I mobilized everyone. Spent 48 hours searching every vessel on the East Coast until we triangulated Katerina's phone signal." "What happened to her? To Stavros?" His expression went cold. "Ta Karakia justice. They violated every code by attacking your family. The council was unanimous in their verdict. I didn't ask for details. Didn't want to know exactly how they'd died." "It's over," Nico continued, his hand covering mine on my stomach. "Stavros is gone, his faction is scattered, and the FBI investigation collapsed when Morrison's star witness, Stavros's nephew, turned out to be dead under suspicious circumstances they can't prove we were involved with." "So we're safe?" "Yes, finally, completely safe." His voice broke slightly. "I'm so sorry, Agapimu. This is my fault. I brought this danger to you." "Stop." I pulled him closer. "We're both responsible for the choices that led here, and we're both still alive. That's what matters." 5 months later, I gave birth to a daughter. We named her Sophia, after my grandmother, and she had Nico's storm-gray eyes and my stubborn chin. Nico held her with the same reverent care he'd shown during the pregnancy. This dangerous man transformed into a gentle father who sang Greek lullabies and changed diapers without complaint. "I'm getting out," he told me one night as we watched our daughter sleep. "Completely out. The 5-year plan is now a 1-year plan. I'm selling off territories, consolidating everything into legitimate businesses, stepping away from Takarakia leadership. They'll let you? They don't have a choice. I have enough leverage, enough allies, enough power to make it happen." He looked at me. "I want our daughter to grow up in a different world. I want to be the kind of father who doesn't scare her friends' parents. I want us to be normal." We'll never be normal, I said honestly. But we can be something better than we were. 6 months after that, we moved to a house in Westchester, far from the city and the violence that had defined our early relationship. Nico's transformation of his business was ahead of schedule. I'd expanded the foundation's work into 3 states. We had dinner with Cole and Maya monthly. My students sent me crayon drawings of their new teacher, and slowly, impossibly, we built something like an ordinary life. But some nights, when thunderstorms rattled the windows and I couldn't sleep, I thought about that first day in Starbucks, about spilling coffee on a stranger and having no idea it would lead to this, to danger and terror and love so fierce it had survived everything thrown at it. Regrets? Nico asked one such night, finding me at the window watching rain. So many, I admitted. But not about choosing you. Never that. He pulled me close, and we stood together in the darkness, listening to our daughter's soft breathing from the nursery monitor. We weren't perfect. Our past would always carry shadows. But we'd survived the worst and emerged stronger. And somehow, against all odds, the kindergarten teacher and the mobster had built a family. A strange, complicated, beautiful family. And that was enough.